First of all, thank you so much for joining. I really
My
appreciate you
pleasure.
doing this
Oh,
interview. I know that you're a Montrealer, went to Concordia, from my understanding. So
yeah.
that's very exciting for us. At the Montreal International Film Festival, we have a lot of Concordia students, McGill students, and aspiring people who want to go into the film industry. So it's
Oh,
great to have someone who's been here, done that. I want to start out by asking first about Inside Out, which is obviously a highly anticipated and long awaited second
oh.
installment. How did you get to start working on it?
I wanted to work on it. Well, I work at Pixar, and they share with us what are the upcoming projects, and so when I heard that this project was an upcoming one, I really wanted to make sure I was really hoping to work on this project, and actually I feel like I got a privilege to be working on it early because those teams on production, when the movie starts, it starts with a very small team, and then the team grows as the production grows, because these with you've seen the credits, there's many people, different departments, and each department don't necessarily work all at once. So I was on this project for a year and a half, which is a very long chunk of time for an animator, and I was there
Mm.
at the very beginning, making sure, preparing the characters before we even got into animating shots and scenes. And I can talk more about that, but
Yeah.
I wanted to
Oh
make
my
sure that I
word.
don't start.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's crazy. That's such a long time. And I guess then my question is, does that have anything to do with the fact that there's a 9 year gap between the first one in 2015 and the second one in 2024? Is it, how have you adapted to the second one? Is there a change in the way the characters look now that they're older? Riley's a teenager now.
Yeah.
The feelings, the emotions, have they changed the way that they look?
So the look is I would say it's honoring the first one, right? Because like you're saying, Riley's a teenager, the technology has evolved. There are things that could not be possible in 2015 that are not now possible with the technology that we have today. So when it comes to characters that we saw in the previous film, we still need to update them with the new technology and rebuild them from scratch. But we need to make sure that they still look and feel like the first one. So it's technology, but it's also where the craft comes in. And we watch the first movie and we analyze it like crazy, and we talk with the people who had worked on the first movie who are still at Pixar, and we have those conversations about, okay, what was so special about the first one, how can we push this character further? And so that's with, let's say, the older character. And then for the new emotions, it's actually, well, the first one, how do we what kind of what's the new thing we're telling about Riley in this new version? What do we bring forward, right? So that's when the new emotions came in and it fit with also where Riley is in her life. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, I mean, a bit more about yourself. You've
Yeah.
worked on Big Hero 6, you worked on Jack and the Giants. Like, you are no more feet when it comes to animation. Clearly, I was reading your credits. I was like, wow, this woman knows what she's doing.
Oh.
I wanted to ask you, what is it that drew you to animation in the first place? Like, did you wake up one day, you loved art, or what is it that brought you to that industry?
Yeah, I mean, art was always there in our family. It was, I grew up watching cartoons on TV, and my family, my parents would take us to watch movies on the screen at the cinema. We had comic books, the bande dessinée, the French hardcover books, as well as comics in the newspapers. It was all over, and many other cultural things. But for me, I was very much drawn to animation at that point. It's something that I've always loved, and I knew at pretty young that I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to tell stories with that medium. I wanted to be part of that film animation. So yeah, the first movie I saw in theaters was Fantasia, and
Oh, wow.
it's
Yeah.
like some form of re-release or whatever in the 80s, and
Mm.
yeah, it had such a big impact on me. I mean, I was super young, but still, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. And yeah.
What are some of your career highlights then that you've had that you would be like, this is top 2 moments in my career that I love?
Whew, that's hard. Well, I will say that like one of the big things for me was leaving Montreal. When I had worked in games for quite a few years, and I wanted to work in film, but I also wanted to explore other studios, other cultures, I mean, I say cultures, I didn't move very far. I stayed in North America, but still I wanted to see how it meet new people. And so that I feel allowed me to grow as a human and as a person, and centered me with what I wanted to, like my values and what kind of stories I wanted to tell. So it's not a specific project that I'm sharing with you right now, but you know, if you look at my resume, like all those films, many of them were done at different studios in different cities and states. So there's that. And then coming to Pixar, it was just mind blowing to me. It's because when I remember when Toy Story came out, it was the first computer animated feature animation. It was just so, and it was not just a tool. The story was actually wonderful and amazing. And it was during a time where what we would see a lot on the screen were animated musical and a lot of princesses, which is great. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing bad with that, but it felt different and a little fresh in terms of storytelling. And I wanted to see, I was curious about, okay, there's people making that kind of stuff. That's kind of interesting. I'd love to be part of those teams that come up with these great ideas. So yeah, those were the 2 big things. Again, I feel it's about the people, right? It's the experience when you put yourself out there in an environment that's different than what you've had before. Yeah.
And what then would you say are some of the perhaps obstacles you faced in your career?
Well, when I graduated from Concordia, computer animation was just starting, and it was an obstacle for me because it's learning new technology, and I couldn't care less about computer. I just wanted to draw. I really hated it, and I kind of went to it reluctantly. But to be honest, like back in the early 2000s, computer animation was really complicated and tough. But then now it's so much more user friendly. That, you know, it really feels like just a tool, and it's the important thing. It's really like what you bring to what you do, and it's like, it's interesting. The technology was an obstacle, but then feeling like no, it's actually what I want to bring, and I need to make sure that I show up and I put myself out there completely, entirely, because if I don't do that, if I don't give it all what I have, then the person at the other end looking at that art won't connect. They won't care, you know. So yeah. Does it make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Like the whole connecting to an audience and them understanding your vision. I know we only have a minute left, but obviously we have a lot of young people that want to go into the industry that will watch this. What is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to go into animation?
Make art. Make art, make animation, do it. Don't wait for anybody to give you permission, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't or you shouldn't. Just go do it, and the more you do it, the more you learn about yourself, and the better you get at it.
Thank you. That was really nice. That's a lovely thing to say. No, it's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.